Welcome to People's Daily Studio, where prominent voices from China and the world share their insights. I'm Huilan. Today, our special guest is Evan Kyle, an American who donated 2 years ago an old collection of photos from the Second World War to the Chinese Consulate General in Chicago. Welcome, Evan.
Thank you for having me.
Many Chinese people heard your name about this donation that you made 2 years ago. When you first came across this album, how did you feel about it, and what motivated you to donate it?
Well, the first thing that struck me when I received it from one of my followers, and I'll just quickly reiterate, I'm a social media creator in America, and part of how my business functions, we buy and we sell. So people mail me items, and I make a video about what's it worth. It's interesting. And then I sell it. And so somebody reached out to me, and they said they had an old book of photos from World War II, and they said the photos were disturbing, but they didn't say anything else. So I said, sure, send it to me. And as soon as I got it, the thing that struck me the most was the quality. I got it on a Monday, and I opened up the package, and look at this thing. And I mean, you can see the picture right there. It's this leather book that's like almost like three-dimensional with these two ordained dragons like looking up. And you flip it open, and the first thing that struck me was the quality. And I thought, wow, these are really good photos. And I'm going through, and now maybe about 7 pages in, then it turns to something of a very disturbing nature, like the guy told me. And then I thought, well, this might be something really historically important, and this probably belongs in a museum. And then I had a moral crisis of, I don't know what to do. So 2 days after I received the package on a Wednesday was when I made the video that went so viral. And the individual who sent it to me was pressing me, what are you gonna do? You have my property, you haven't paid me yet, what's going on here? So I had some pressure from him to do something. And in the past, I had tried to get a museum's attention because I have a rule, if an item directly has to do with war crimes, it belongs in a museum. I've had all kinds of stuff with the following advertised to me. I've had, for example, clothing the prisoners wore in the Auschwitz death camps advertised to me, and it's like, what are you doing with this? This shouldn't be in a private collection. This should be in a museum, be preserved for study and for the sake of history. So I thought, I don't know what to do, and every time I've tried to get a museum's attention in America, they don't get back to me. And I thought, well, what if I make a video that gets somebody's attention? And then, I wasn't counting on all of this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw you also made an electric version of this album on your personal website. So why did you decide to make this material public?
Well, like I said, I donated it to China, but they, as part of the agreement I had with them, they gave me the rights to the book to distribute for educational purposes. And the best way to learn from it is to preserve it and to study it and to share it. So I will upload it onto my website as a video, one, because it's expensive to host that much data. A video was just a cheap, easy way for me to do it, put it out there so people could see the whole thing. And it just deserves to be studied and appreciated and have people look at it and remember it for both the discourse and for the historical value of what the photos are. Not just the bad ones, but the ones that are... My first thought when I got the book was like, these photos are like straight out of National Geographic. The sailor, I should say, Leslie Guy Allen Jr. was a great photographer with a great camera, and we're fortunate that he was stationed where he was when he was and was able to document life there the way that he did.
I know you made this donation 3 months after you received this album. So in those 3 months, what were you thinking? What have you been through?
Quite a lot. I posted the video on a Wednesday, and I posted it about 7 p.m. It was the very end of August in 2022. And I went out for the night with some friends after posting the video, and I got home, and maybe at about 1 o'clock in the morning, I thought, I wonder if that got any views. And then I looked on my phone, and at that point, it had like 5 million views in America, and it had gone mega viral on Chinese social media. And then that's just what kicked off, this whole saga that was a lot to deal with mentally. It at first was overwhelmingly positive, but then maybe about 48 hours after I posted the video, this thing started on the internet that it was a big hoax and that I was using a war crime to get famous, and it turned really negative really fast. And all through that weekend, it was Labor Day weekend, it's a holiday in America. By Monday, I was just at the end of it mentally because it had turned so negative, and that's when the threats started. I had to shut down my store, and this went on for weeks, and I kind of mentally fell apart over the pressure of all of this, and just like I wasn't expecting it to go viral. I also, once it did go viral, I certainly wasn't expecting it to take this negative turn, but that's just the internet hate machine and the world that we live in. So I thought, okay, well, I need to do something here. I need to do what I think is the right thing. And it became apparent to me the right thing to do was to give it to China, because I had young Chinese people showing up in my store, crying, hugging me, giving me flowers, saying thank you for educating the world, saying, it doesn't matter what's in this book if these photos are reproductions or not. It's talking about what happened. And a lot of people in the West don't know. Something that I couldn't believe and surprised me was the amount of Americans that don't know that it happened. I went to a very good public school and a very good college, and we talked about this. But I thought it was taught everywhere the same, and it's not. And I really would like to see that change. So just all the, especially young Chinese people that are decades and decades removed from this tragedy, that it was so real and raw to them, told me that I need to give this to China. This is where this book belongs. It's become a symbol of what happened. It doesn't even matter what's in it. It's just about the message that this is now communicating, what this is representing belongs in China's hands. So, you can't just call a foreign government and say, hey, I got something for you. Like, it doesn't work that way. So I had to retain a lawyer. Luckily, I had a very good one, Joe Friedberg. He actually just passed away recently. Volunteered to help me for free. He was one of the best attorneys in Minnesota. And with his help, I was able to make the donation happen.
Yeah, I believe that's a lot for you to handle at the beginning.
It still is.
Yeah, and you received questions, but you also received many comments and letters, many of them from the Chinese people, expressing their support for you. So was there any comment that particularly impressed you?
I'll mention, there's so many. There's so many. I can't possibly pick just one, but one thing that stood out to me, we'll probably share in a little bit. I received a letter from somebody this week that really touched me, and then I was doing a live, and when I was doing a live on Douyin, because I got on Douyin about maybe 5 or 6 months ago, somebody said, you don't need to learn Mandarin, we will learn English for you. And that was so sweet. So comments like that, but that's just one comment amongst this sea of positivity that has come at the end of this. And I kind of find myself having emotional whiplash, because it was so much negative and crazy, and just it damaged my mental health so much on the front end of it. And then now on the back end of it, it's very positive, and I'm privileged to be here in China and being treated this way by people, but it's a lot for any mind to handle this kind of whiplash.
Now it's exactly 2 years since your donation. At this time, what special significance does this donation have in your life? And has your life changed to some extent due to this donation?
This has changed my life dramatically, and I wasn't sure what to expect coming here. In fact, even on the plane over here last week, I was thinking, I wonder if anybody's gonna recognize me. I wonder what people are gonna think or how they're gonna treat me when I get there. And I, walked right out of baggage claim, and there's an army of reporters waiting for me. And it's just been so overwhelmingly positive being here. My reception here has been so warm, and it's definitely given me pause to figure out, okay, well, what are the next steps with my life? What am I gonna do? I plan on coming here many, many times more. It's massively changed my life for the better.
And this is your very first time visiting China. So what surprised you the most in the past few days?
Well, the Western media, unfortunately, does have a very negative, or seems to have a very negative opinion of China. And obviously, there's a lot of tension right now, and the West seems to be very critical of China. So even in doing research and trying to learn about, what's Beijing like before coming here, it's a clean city. Very clean city, and I was expecting a lot of pollution, and that's just not the case. So that's just one aspect of many that I've come to discover. You have to come here yourself and experience this yourself to really truly appreciate it. The history too, the historical sites like the Great Wall. I went there on Tuesday, or was it Monday? I don't know, the days are kind of blurring together. I've been really busy. But when I went to the Great Wall, you gotta go there and see it. You can't look at a picture. The pictures don't do it justice. Temple of Heaven. I went to the Forbidden City this morning. you need to come and see these things yourself. And anybody who's curious about history, architecture, China, the oldest culture on earth, really needs to come here and see it for themselves, because I am just blown away by what I'm seeing. And on top of that, the tech in China is nuts. I was telling you this before our interview. I ordered a delivery to my hotel room, and a robot brought it to me, and I was like,
Yeah.
am I in the year 3000? What am I looking at?
Yeah. That's technology in
Yeah,
China today.
yeah, and it's, in Minnesota, like, we don't really have stuff like this, so.
Okay, so it's like quite different from what you've learned through the media earlier when you were back in the US.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot more negativity that I think is accurate. I mean, come here and be a judge yourself, anybody who's thinking about traveling here. But I am very, very pleasantly surprised by what life is like here.
Yeah. I know you also got some special gifts and warm welcome when you were in China. Like you got an old-fashioned military coat when you were watching the flag raising ceremony.
I love that coat. Again, not expecting that. I went to the flag raising ceremony on Sunday because I thought it was a way for me to communicate my respect to the Chinese people. I got here pretty late on Saturday night and slept for all of like an hour and a half or 2 hours, and then just woke up early and went straight to Tiananmen Square. And I'm from Minnesota. It's a cold place, and I didn't think it was that cold when I got off the plane and got into my car. And everyone's like, "You should wear a coat. You should wear a coat." I'm fine. It's Minnesota. I'm fine. And I got pretty cold, and this person spotted me online and ran up to me, and they just were like, "Here, I insist, have my coat." And I'm like, No, please, I can't take it. No, have it. And they just put it on me. And yeah, I'm really enjoying that coat. Very, very cool coat. But that's just one gift of many that I've received. I've been kind of overwhelmed by it all.
That's the warmth of the Chinese people.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. Have you shared any of these feelings about this trip with your family back in the US?
Yeah, I spoke to my parents the other night, and then I talked to some friends too, and I've been posting. I'm going to have some videos coming out. I've been filming, and then obviously we've been filming for Douyin too, so there's been content coming out as I've been doing stuff. But no, I've been posting pictures on social media and letting everybody know this is a lovely place to visit.
So how do you think you are going to introduce China when you return to the US?
I need to figure out exactly what a long-term strategy is for the positive message that I want to convey, but that is my goal here, is to establish communication and establish peace through the sharing of culture, and like me being here becomes a symbol. I want Chinese people to know Americans are like me. We shouldn't be arguing with one another. We should be communicating and fostering further lasting peace. And I'm just a private citizen. I'm not working with any government. I'm not hired by any government. I'm just here to advocate for peace. I was at the Temple of Heaven yesterday, and that was my wish, was global peace. And I think me being here introduces the idea to the West, people that might be afraid of China or might be taking a slant that the media is presenting them and downing it without really bothering to do the research or take the time to come and travel and experience it themselves, that they've probably been sold a false narrative, and they should really come here and check it out. Another thing that's blowing me away, there was no need for me to buy clothes. I can get better clothes here yeah, I wasted a lot of money buying clothes back in the United States when everything I need and then some is all here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I saw many Chinese internet users interact with you on your social media accounts, and they give you recommendations about traveling China and Chinese culture. So we wonder, what's your next stop after Beijing, and what parts of China do you hope to explore further?
Well, I do have a very busy itinerary, as you might imagine, for this trip, but I'm figuring out basically how to be coming here more and more. I think it's really important that I keep coming here. I like it here quite a lot, and there's a lot for me here in terms of like what I can do, growing peace and communication on, just again, still as a private citizen. So my next stop is going to be in Tianjin, and then after that I'm going to Shanghai, and then I will be in Nanjing for the anniversary of the massacre. Mm-hmm. But that's just this trip, and after that I'm hoping to see all of China in my travels. I want to see rural China. I want to see, what does China have, like 197 cities that have over 1 million people in it? I want to visit all of them. I want to see every city here in my lifetime, but I'm young, and like I said, I'll be coming here a lot, so I have time to do it.
Is there an aspect of Chinese society or culture that you are particularly interested in, such as technology or films, music, or foods, language?
A few. The technology is interesting to me because this kind of tech that I've seen on display here, I have not seen that really in the United States. I know some cities have autonomous cars in the United States. Minneapolis does not. So that's really something I'm curious to check out, is an autonomous car. I've never been on a high-speed train. In fact, truth be told, I've only been on a train one time in my life, and it went 50 miles an hour. So I'm excited to experience that. I'm also very interested in martial arts. I have a very intense martial arts background. I've studied Korean martial arts for over 20 years. So I would like to learn some Chinese martial arts. And I am interested, for the sake of communication and peace, in expanding culture and my contribution to culture, both exporting Chinese culture back to America and exporting American culture here for Chinese people to appreciate and consume. One example, and this is just me spitballing, there's nothing concrete here, but like I really like American rap music, and I noticed you guys don't have that here, so that's something I might be interested maybe in finding a way to bridge that, because the best way to understand another people is through culture, and the music, or the medium of art, example, music, film, that kind of stuff, that really helps you understand and appreciate another culture, its people, and where they're coming from. And the way to peace is through communication.
Yes, and recently there has been a boom of China travel this year with international visitors like you. So how do you make of its significance in fostering mutual understanding between cultures?
Well, I just simply want people in the West to come and see how great of a time I'm having here, and to listen to me that what you're hearing in the Western media is, you really got to be here to actually truly appreciate it and understand it. And just because you're watching something on TV, don't believe everything you hear. It's like the old saying, don't judge a book by its cover.
I believe this trip in China would be just a very good start of your connections with this country and with our people.
Yeah, this is just my first step in an initiative, like I said, that's going to take the rest of my life, and I'm really excited to, even from a private citizen's perspective, play a role in some kind of, I hope, lasting peace between our nations and between all nations. I hope that other people in other countries that might have animosity or some kind of qualm with another country might look at me as an example and think, peace and communication, not conflict.
So we look forward to meeting you more in the future in China.
I look forward to returning.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing your experience with us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
谢谢.
谢谢.
or 谢谢你.
You're welcome. This is today's PD Studio. Thank you and see you next time.